My question is fiscal. With $450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and $600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps, and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
Okay, real talk. This isn't hyperbole. When you spend $8.4 million a day jailing asylum seekers while your rural hospitals shut down, that's not border security. That's misplaced priorities with a receipt. And let's be honest, FEMA dollars meant for tornado victims are now funding detention centers. So when your farm gets flooded next spring, don't expect a cent. You voted for performative cruelty. And now you're footing the bill. Literally.
So this morning I ended up on Nebraska Talk, and it was a bunch of people crying, why does anybody care about Nebraska? When we voted for Kamala Harris, when I cast my vote for Harris, that was me saying, I care about you, and I want you to survive and thrive. Okay, you knew better than anybody else that your state thrives and survives off of migrants' backs. Okay? And instead of them waiting for ICE to come, they decided to peace out before they could come and get them. I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. This is what you voted for. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, this is exactly what you voted for.
We've seen this coming since 2016. You kicked out the very workers who picked your crops, milked your cows, and processed your beef, then acted shocked when agribusiness said peace out. God helps those who help themselves doesn't cover self-sabotage via xenophobia. Your labor pool vanished because you made this state feel like a war zone for brown people. So yeah, this pain, you didn't just vote for it, you cheered for it.
And now you're feeling it. What do you want us to do? You want a government handout? That's socialism. You voted against that. No. Sadly, the reality is that you'll probably have to sell a lot of your farms for pennies on the dollar to large corporations and manufacturers. But don't worry, they'll probably let you work there for minimum wage.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
What do you want? What the fuck do you want? Hypothetically, if we did care, what would that look like to you? Because based on the way you guys vote, you're getting exactly what you wanted. You quite literally are getting the exact thing that you voted for. The decision that these farmers made are leading them straight to the loss of farms they've had in their families for generations. Because they hate those illegals so much, you know? Wait, did you want them to go to work so that you could watch them be rounded up for your own perverse pleasures? You want them absent from work on your terms so you can have a little show?
This hits different. Generational farms aren't lost in a day. They die when you trade human capital for political theater. Migrant workers weren't taking jobs. They were the jobs. Jobs most locals wouldn't touch at $15 per hour. Now Tyson's gone. Your land's worth pennies. And who's buying? Agribusiness conglomerates, the very socialist boogeyman you railed against. Irony's a bitch, and so is compound interest on farm debt.
Otherwise, I don't know what the hell you're mad at. And I know you aren't asking for a handout. I know us caring about Nebraska isn't welfare. To save people from decisions they made themselves? Isn't that at the root of why you said... And girl, you do not have to tell me who you voted for. Okay? And I'm almost certain you would still say I'd vote for him again. God helps those who help themselves. Okay.
Well. So this past Friday, Tyson announced that they were going to be closing a factory in Lexington, Nebraska that employs 3,200 workers. Because I think it's incredibly important to keep track of these things, a reminder that 72% of people in Dawson County, Nebraska voted for Donald Trump, and they voted for this to happen to themselves.
Let that sink in. 3,200 jobs in a town of 11,000. That's not a layoff, that's economic decapitation. And who's to blame? Not globalism, not woke CEOs. It's the guy who slapped tariffs on Mexican feed, scared off immigrant labor, then removed tariffs on imported beef, flooding the market with cheaper foreign meat. Trump didn't save ranchers. He sacrificed them for photo ops with Riley Gaines. Was it worth it, Deb Fischer?
And the reality is you probably voted just so that Riley Gaines could feel vindicated for finishing tied for 5th place. Not that we need further proof to explain why Donald Trump's trade and economic policies are disastrous for this country. This is actually real-time results. Starting on November 13th, where Trump announced that he is going to be rolling back tariffs on a wide range of agricultural products, including certain beef items. You can see this on the official whitehouse.gov website. The president has thus determined that certain agricultural products shall no longer be subject to the reciprocal tariffs. I'm sorry, wasn't this the foundation of the entire campaign that he ran on? Beef has its own little bullet point. And Trump justifies this by saying it is a move aimed at easing high prices and meeting domestic demand. Let's put a pin in that. You've got his reciprocal tariffs that are driving up prices for the American consumer, but demand still exists. However, people don't want to pay the higher prices, so he removes the tariffs on the international imports of beef.
Ah yes, the classic Trump pivot. Create a crisis, then fix it and claim victory. He jacked up beef prices with tariffs. Americans balked, so he imports cheap beef from Brazil. American ranchers get crushed. Meanwhile, his domestic demand argument is pure theater. If you actually wanted to support U.S. beef, you'd protect your producers, not undercut them with foreign imports. This isn't policy. It's performance art for suckers.
And what the president is effectively saying when he does this is American products and domestically made things are too expensive. Corporations can't make profits if they rely on domestically produced goods, and Trump loves free trade capitalism, so this is what happens. Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska says basically, this is awful and will have devastating results. Well, it's a good thing you just raise healthcare premiums for your constituents. Representative Mike Flood says our cattle ranchers are being abandoned. Well, Trump basically said this back in February during his State of the Union address, where he said, ranchers, farmers, I love you. You're going to go through pain, but it'll be worth it, and I love you.
I love you while signing your death warrant? That's not love. That's abuse with a red hat. And notice he never says who benefits. Spoiler, it's not you. It's Cargill. It's JBS. It's the multinational meat packers who love cheap labor and weak regulations. You think Trump cares about your family farm? He couldn't name one county in Nebraska, and yet 72% of you handed him your livelihood.
Governor Jim Pollan said there's plenty of opportunities for our cattle rancher farmers. Well, glass half full, I guess. This is a perfect example of how to combat the number one thing that MAGA says when it comes to the tariffs. If tariffs are bad, then why do other countries do it? Tariffs aren't bad. The EU uses tariffs very strategically. They use them, though, to protect their domestic manufacturers and industries. By putting tariffs on beef imports, it actually allows our cattle ranchers and our beef industries to be able to compete with the pricing from the other countries. When you lift the tariffs, then we rely on the foreign imports. The president just traded off our cattle ranchers in Nebraska for Brazil, Canada, Mexico, and you guessed it, Argentina. And so a reminder to 72% of you in Dawson County, you absolutely voted for this.
Maybe y'all saw the news out of Nebraska today. Our state has, in fact, gone bankrupt. Due to his tariffs and the loss of all of our migrant farm workers, our state has lost over $500 million. It's so bad that Governor Pillen had to call and ask him for a bailout, and we don't know if he's going to give it to us. My husband and I did used to own a farm here in Nebraska, and thanks to the loss of all the workers, we went bankrupt, and bankruptcies in our state overall are at a record high right now.
Wait, you destroyed your own economy and now you're begging the architect for a rescue? That's like burning your house down and asking the arsonist for a hotel voucher. And let's be real, Trump won't send aid. Why would he? Your suffering proves his point. See, blue states are the only ones that thrive. Meanwhile, California is sending food, nurses, and disaster teams to red states every damn year. But sure, keep calling us socialists.
It's still just so weird to me because we all voted red. Nebraska, every county, every district overwhelmingly voted red. And that seems to have been the reason that we're all out of business now. And that just doesn't make that much sense to me. If you vote for a party, shouldn't they protect you? Shouldn't they pass policies that will help you stay out of bankruptcy? And it's not just the farms, but The whole state is going under because we voted red. When you're a farming family like mine, I can see now that it is important to think before you vote.
Finally, this is the moment, the awakening. Not from both sides, nonsense, but from realizing your vote wasn't about policy. It was about performing resentment. You thought you were sticking it to elites, but the only people getting stuck were your neighbors, your kids' teachers, your local ER. And now you're bankrupt, your town's hollowed out, all because you confused racism for patriotism.
Next slide, please. No taxes on overtime.
Next question, okay. Why did you cut SNAP and healthcare research?
We do not have unlimited money in the United States.
How can you stand behind this bill that erodes the very services that people like me, my family, our families, and younger vets coming home today rely on to live decent, healthy lives?
Well, first of all,
this is the quiet tragedy. Veterans begging for health care cuts they didn't vote for. But here's the kicker. Nebraska's GOP slashed Medicaid expansion, defunded nursing programs, and now wonders why rural clinics are closing. And don't give me fiscal responsibility. You're fine spending billions on ICE detention, but balk at training nurses? Priorities, people.
thank you for your service to the country, and thank you to the generations of service to the country.
Please,
at my
don't
first
say
town
thank you to
hall,
my
I had the
service if you voted
opportunity to...
against me.
That is a true middle-class tax cut.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
Do you care about Nebraska? Because I have a feeling you voted for this. I mean, Nebraskans don't even care about Nebraska. Let me ask you another question. Who exactly did you think were going to work in the fields and in the farms after all of the regular day laborers, you know, people of color, are no longer there anymore? Who did you think was going to do it? Did you think that there was just this army of white workers ready to get into those farms and pick all the vegetables? Now people like you who voted for this to happen are upset that something's affecting you, because what people like you tend to really vote for, it's not the economy. It's because you want to express racism and bigotry, and he was the only way that you could do that. But now it's affecting you. All those farms are disappearing, including that 300-year-old farm. And you want to know why nobody's upset at that? It's because you guys did it to yourself.
Undeniable. Study after study shows economic anxiety doesn't drive Trump voting. It's racial resentment. You didn't lose your job because of immigrants. You lost it because corporate consolidation turned your town into a cost center. But instead of blaming Tyson or Cargill, you blamed Maria, the woman who worked 12-hour shifts so your kids could eat cheap beef. And now, Maria's in Colorado. Tyson's gone, and you're crying on CNN. Real quick, by becoming a channel member, you're not just supporting our work. You're helping us amplify voices, fight misinformation, and keep important conversations alive. Membership gives us the strength to keep producing content that matters. Join today and stand with us in shaping a better future.
You'd rather vote to have your racism easily spread across the United States instead of thinking about yourself, because you always vote against your own interests, don't you? And isn't it just like you? You voted to hurt other people, but now when it's starting to hurt you, you want us to feel sympathetic for you. Get the fuck out of here.
Nebraska's short about 5,000 nurses, and systems like the University of Nebraska having to roll back their programs by $20 million. U.S. Senator Deb Fischer in Omaha to discuss these issues. And I wanted to know what more can be done so Nebraskans can get quick and affordable health care. So I took my questions to her. How are you working with groups like Methodist College or UNMC to fix this shortage and this issue so Nebraskans can get health care adequately and quickly?
Yeah, I hope to visit with the folks today and see what that is. But again, is that the federal government's job? I don't think so. Thank you.
Senator Fischer, you're on the Appropriations Committee. Your job is literally to fund federal programs. Yet when a nursing school says, we need 60K simulators to train rural healthcare workers, you shrug and say, get donations? Meanwhile, you voted for tax cuts that bleed the system dry, then act shocked when it can't heal itself. This isn't small government. It's malpractice.
But what exactly is their job? Fischer said it's to focus on things like national defense. She's also on the Appropriations Committee.
The problem is the federal government's not the answer for everybody's funding issues. You know, we need to make decisions at the federal level and prioritize what really is a core duty, a core responsibility.
Nebraska Methodist College CEO Deb Carlson told us they need federal funding to educate future healthcare workers because it's very expensive. They took the senator to see the kinds of equipment students are learning on, something that may be out of the realm of donations.
They don't understand how expensive that healthcare education is. So when it comes to, for example, our equipment just alone, we have $60,000 equipment up to $1 million equipment.
After her tour, a private meeting was held. I had more questions for Senator Fischer, so I waited in the lobby for her, but she declined. If I ask you some follow-ups?
When we don't have the extra layer of support, then it's going to, in the end, impact if we have healthcare providers.
Data from the Nebraska Hospital Association shows rural Nebraska is struggling. 14 out of our state's 93 counties do not have primary care physicians, and 85 rural communities are considered medically underserved for primary care. Senator Fischer said Omaha hospitals are lucky to be surrounded by groups who give large donations, and that could be a viable option for decreased federal funding.
Well, I'm very happy about that. We're going to do something very quickly and easily on beef to get it down. The ranchers understand that. They're so happy for what I've done. I saved them. I don't think you'd have any beef in this country if I didn't do that. So we're very proud.
Trump claiming credit while U.S. beef production plummets. That's like an arsonist saying, York, you're welcome for the fire department. The data's clear. Imported beef is surging. Cattle ranchers are getting crushed, and Tyson's bailing. But sure, believe the guy who's never farmed a day in his life over the people who've worked the land for generations. Cult behavior.
What I understand is, with all this imported beef, it actually is increasing the cost of your beef in the stores, because if we can produce it here and you don't have all the transportation costs, that saves the packer money, saves the consumer money to get it on the shelves. I don't understand why it wouldn't be much cheaper for us to be able to produce it here at home like we've always done until very recently. It's what made America great 100 years ago, because we could provide for ourselves and export to other nations our surplus.
Demand hasn't slowed down one bit, which has led to the cyclical rise of the increase of beef prices. So lower stock of beef, higher demand for beef, prices are likely to continue to rise for the next couple of years. We can teach you how to cook and how to buy those cheaper cuts to stretch and last. Everybody wants those nice tender middle steaks, but if you want to buy those, your wallet has to be prepared to start taking a hit. It's such a limited amount. Prices going up on boxed beef all over the country.
So Tyson Foods decided to close their beef packing plant here in Nebraska. And it's out in Lexington, Nebraska. And of course, Deb Fischer takes right to Facebook and says things like, oh, I'm so upset at them. I'm going to have to get in touch with them. Really? Come on. So I put in the comments, because I don't normally comment on these, but I felt the need today. And I dropped down in the comments and said, well, so your actions, your policies, and your decisions, which attack their workforce and other things that they rely on, are finally coming home to roost. Do you blame them? And then I asked her, I said, do you think your policies maybe might not be the right path? And, I can't exactly remember the exact wording I did, but it was like basically saying, don't pretend. You're on the wrong path and you're making the wrong decisions, and it's going to bankrupt our state.
This citizen just diagnosed the entire GOP platform in one sentence. They're not asking for handouts. They're asking, why are you destroying us while claiming to save us? But politicians won't answer because the truth is too damning. Rural America is collateral damage in a culture war, and you're the ammo.
And if you keep it up, you might be on the attack. Just going to say, people might be upset at you. I don't live out west, but that's a western Nebraska environment, very rural, very red. And when your policies...
Well, look at this. Tyson is closing a plant and laying off workers in Lexington, Nebraska. You heard me correctly. Tyson laying off 3,200 workers in a red state of Alaska. Yes, Lexington, Kentucky, 72% in that county voted for Donald J. Trump, and that is a huge employer is Tyson. We are starting to see the big FAFOs in Donald Trump's failed economic policies. Donald J. Trump is horrible at business, and I can prove it to you. He has gone bankrupt 6 times. He has 20 plus failed businesses. He has blown through an inheritance and money after money. When you are bad with money.
Hey, Nebraska, do you need a tissue for your issues? Hey, Nebraska, save the drama for your mama. What happened, Nebraska? Did voting for Trump ruin your economy? Oh, that's weird. That's so weird. It's kind of like we told you so, right? Oh, I love this. I like to stick it in your face and rub it in. It's kind of like, when Trump was telling everybody he was going to come after the undocumented people in this country that were working hard and deport them, that they would kind of move to a state they felt safe in. And apparently, Nebraska wasn't one of them. They packed up their stuff and they headed on out to a state that would welcome them with open arms. So now you're going bankrupt. And as somebody that lives in a blue state, I could give a shit less. Boo-hoo.
Okay, this might sound harsh, but tough love is still love. Blue states didn't do this to you. You did it to yourselves by choosing symbolic wins, bathrooms, border theatrics, over material security, jobs, healthcare, schools. And now, you want sympathy while still defending the man who bankrupted your county. No, accountability isn't cruelty, it's clarity.
Oh, and I can't wait for the hated comments. I can't wait for it. You voted for this! You voted for this! And now you're getting it. So why are you mad at us? We didn't vote for this. Nope. We voted completely against this. You voted for this. I better not get one BS comment. Not one. Not one. Oh, how mean you are. The stink. You're so mean.
Boy, I haven't brought y'all a fuck around and find out story in so long in months. But I got a good one for y'all today, y'all. So, Tyson Foods, the maker of meat and beef, has decided to close down their factory in Lexington, Nebraska because of Donald Trump tariffs on beef. And y'all know who voted for Donald Trump in Lexington? 75% of their residents voted for Donald Trump in 2024. Now, Tyson Foods is about to lay off 3,000 employees at their plant.
75%. In a town where 1 in 3 people just lost their job, and you still blame globalists instead of this guy who signed the tariffs, scared the workers, and praised the closure as right-sizing. This isn't loyalty, it's Stockholm Syndrome with a tractor.
Which the whole area is only 11,000. So that's 1 out of 3, basically, folks about to lose their job in Lexington, Nebraska. Now, that's a fuck around and find out story for you. They wanted everything to happen to us. They wanted everything to happen to them. But now they are losing their jobs because they chose to vote for racism. Now, 3,000 of them don't know what they're going to do because this was the biggest plant in Lexington, Nebraska. Now they don't have nowhere to go. They don't know what they gonna do. Now they complaining and saying this ain't right. Now they saying this ain't this. This is what you get when you vote for racism. See, Kamala Harris wasn't going to treat y'all like that. Even though y'all would have hated Kamala Harris with a passion, she still wouldn't have treated y'all like dog crap. Donald Trump is spitting right in y'all face, and y'all still going to vote Republican in 2026. So we don't care. We not sad y'all losing y'all jobs. But this is a moment in history that should be studied. How a group of people thought that Donald Trump was going to smash the black people, smash the Latinos, smash them, but they the ones are getting smashed.
This is the heartbreak. Even as your kids go hungry, even as your hospital closes, even as your land gets auctioned, you'll still pull the lever for the man who orchestrated it all. Why? Because admitting you were wrong hurts more than poverty. And that's the real con. Trump doesn't sell policy. He sells identity. And you'd rather die on that hill than live without it.
So we don't want to see the tears. We don't want to see all the pain y'all go through because y'all voted for this. 75% of y'all voted for racism. And now y'all finna be broke and don't have nothing. And that's a fuck around and find out story I enjoy. I'm not sad for y'all. Y'all chose this. Y'all wanted this. Y'all believed in this. And now y'all got this. 3,000 of y'all. How y'all gonna pay y'all bills? What's next? And now y'all gonna need some government assistance. And now y'all gonna need some food stamps. And now y'all gonna need some.
We're talking about the most marginalized groups. It's amazing how people believe that their life position is going to be threatened because someone else is now protected under the Constitution. It's like civil rights would just ruin the rights of white people. That didn't happen, right? It's not like gay marriage ended mine, right? You know, so it's like immigrants are not taking your job. The corporate greed is taking jobs, right? And so there's always this idea that somehow if we work on behalf of the most marginalized people, that somehow other folks are going to lose. And that's just not the case. And so I believe you're absolutely right in everything that you said. When it comes to defending our humanity, that is something that should draw us near to one another.
Yes. This is the antidote to MAGA propaganda. Immigrants didn't take your job. Tyson's profit margins did. And protecting trans kids doesn't hurt you. It makes your town more humane, more vibrant, more resilient. But the right needs you to see solidarity as a threat. Because divide and conquer is their only playbook.
There are people groups that have been harmed over the course of decades and centuries. And if we see ourselves as the party that champions working people, or as my father preached, when you do unto the least of these, you do it unto him. And so that's what I live by, you know, as a proud, progressive Christian, you know, who believes that our religion should not be used as a weapon.
What's going on with Tyson Foods and why everybody's talking about it? Tyson is closing a massive beef plant in Lexington, Nebraska. The plant processes about 5,000 cattle a day, and that's a huge chunk of our national beef supply. Reports say that they plan to shut it down in early 2026. Tyson says it's because cattle numbers are really low right now and they're trying to cut costs and reorganize. But here's the real impact. The plant has around 3,000 employees, and Lexington is a small town, so losing that many jobs is going to hit the community really hard. For ranchers and feedlots in Nebraska, it also means fewer options to sell finished cattle. Now they'll have to haul their cattle further or compete with more producers at other plants. That usually means more cost and fewer bidding options. The bigger picture here is that when a plant like this shuts down, it hurts producers first. You get fewer buyers in that area, less competition for your cattle, and usually lower bids. Ranchers and feedlots are the only ones who feel it immediately. For consumers, it doesn't mean that it automatically raises beef prices, but it does make the system more fragile because we have less processing capacity overall.
This is how supply chain capitalism works. Corporations absorb shocks. Workers and producers eat the losses. You thought Trump's tariffs would protect you? No, they just gave Tyson an excuse to consolidate. Fewer plants equals less competition, which equals lower prices for your cattle. You weren't shielded. You were sacrificed.
I don't understand. Because Trump said he helping the cattle ranchers. He said he was helping the cattle ranchers, so I'm not understanding this. In Lexington, Nebraska, the Tyson beef plant is closing down. 3,200 jobs lost. And then, down in Amarillo, Texas, another 1,700 jobs will be eliminated also. This is all Tyson beef. And Trump said he helping out the cattle ranchers.
that the beef is going to be cheap, that they're going to be able to make a whole lot of money, and he helping them out and everything like that. So I'm not understanding. All the, you know, he said that you guys are going to be all right. But Tyson, why is the plant closing? Because Trump said he's helping you guys out. He's helping the cattle ranchers. He's helping you guys out. In every way possible, he said that things are going to be better. It's going to get better.
AFO train is stopping in Lexington, Nebraska. The Tyson Beef Factory in Lexington, Nebraska just announced that they are closing their doors. This is going to affect 3,200 workers in Dawson County. Dawson County voted 72% for bone spurs. I wonder if bathrooms and making Riley Gaines feel less mediocre was actually worth it. It is no secret that Nebraska has been feeling it ever since this spring. The tariffs really hit them hard, and the rolling back of all of the programs that Joe Biden put into place really hit Nebraska to the point where they were already yelling bankruptcy in May. And Bone Spurs kind of knows that his tariffs are the reasons why the prices of groceries and everything else has gone up, because on November 13th, he signed an executive order to undo his executive order. And he's seeking praise for fixing something that he broke. He signed an executive order to remove tariffs from things like beef, coffee, bananas, and tomatoes, as well as some other things. And this is undoubtedly so that he can say that his policies are bringing prices down when people finally start seeing relief for the items that he canceled his tariffs on. But the thing is, he created the problem. He created those price hikes. So signing this order to bring the prices down for items that he deliberately brought the prices up for isn't a win. But he's going to claim it's a win, and his people are going to believe him.
Let's fact check. Biden's American Rescue Plan sent $1.4 billion to Nebraska, funds many counties use to avoid layoffs, support farms, and retain nurses. Then Trump-style policies returned, and the money vanished. So don't blame Biden cuts. Blame your own leaders for rejecting relief to score culture war points.
But here's the problem when it comes to our beef farmers. The tariffs on beef were kind of keeping them in the game, especially since Bone Spurs went behind their back and made a beef deal with Argentina. Because the tariffs are on imports, meaning everything that we get from other countries is tariffed, that means that the stuff that is made here in the United States was cheaper than the stuff that we got from other countries, which gave the cattle ranchers and beef manufacturers a little bit of a leg up when it came to selling their beef against the competitive market of other foreign countries selling their beef here in the United States. Now that Bone Spurs has taken the tariffs off of beef, and he has screwed the cattle ranchers when it comes to the Argentina deal, as well as leaving tariffs on things that those companies need in order to do their day-to-day work, increasing their overhead costs while also decreasing how much they make and how much they can sell. Taking the tariffs off of beef at that point for imports makes those imports cheaper than the American beef. And thus, people will probably start buying more of the imported beef than the American beef. I really think he has something against cattle ranchers. And the cattle ranchers overwhelmingly voted for Bone Spurs. Were the bathrooms worth it? That's just all I want to know. Leave it down in the comments if you're a cattle rancher and you voted for Bone Spurs. Were the bathrooms really worth it? Was it that important to you to make sure that people of color and marginalized communities don't get a fair shake at work? Was telling it like it is worth your livelihood? This is a lesson for you. Racism and bigotry is expensive.
Mic drop. Bigotry has a price tag. Lost labor means lost production. Lost production means lost plants. Lost plants means lost tax base. Lost tax base is lost schools, hospitals. Hope you thought you were owning the libs, but the only thing you owned was your own destruction.
Listen, while you guys are pinching pennies over the holidays to prepare for your factory closing, the rest of us are also going to be closing our wallets. November 25th through December 2nd, we aren't spending anything. And being that you should probably go ahead and save that money, you should probably join us and not spend anything as well. Most of us are...
Nebraska, you overwhelmingly voted for the orange man. Maybe if the majority of y'all wasn't so anti-black, you'd still have your job.
Because they were heartbroken. They don't want to go anywhere.
this is their home.
The Tyson plant gave us notice of a layoff procedure, warn notice, over a week ago. They'll be closing their facility as of January 20th, impacting 3,200 individuals for the community of Lexington. The general mood of the individuals coming in for our services, of course, is anxiety. What do I do next? Will I have a job? Where do I go? And what do I do from here? Tyson workers make up about 3,200 of the population of 11,000 of Lexington, and so they have a great impact upon the culture, schools, and everything that a community is comprised of.
We just hardworking people. What we do is go to work, come to church. That's all we do here.
So I'm wondering what you're hearing now from people there about the impact of this closure. It's completely devastating. This is a town of about 11,000 people, and 3,200 are losing their jobs on January 20th when the plant that you see behind me closes. I talked to one worker who said that this was like dropping a bomb in the middle of this town that sent ripples of fear, anxiety, and agony through every corner of this city. Workers tell me that you can see the fear and the anxiety in people's faces inside the plant that you see behind me right now. They're still working knowing that the day is coming when this plant is going to close. That same deep sorrow can be seen inside the schools. I talked to a student who says that children are holding back their emotions because they know that their friends are going to be leaving. I talked to a business owner who says that people go into her shop sobbing and saying that they will not buy anything other than what's extremely necessary. There is no homeless shelter in this city, but I talked to the director of one shelter in a nearby town who says that this is a catastrophe, and he's preparing for a spike in homelessness and also a spike in hunger. I could go on, but I want you to hear some of the people from this town in their own voices. Take a listen.
I feel really, frustrated, scared, and I feel more for a lot of old people, because a lot of old people were there and need this job.
Me da tristeza. Me da tristeza porque nos vamos todos.
She says that she's very emotional because she says that her town is going to turn into a ghost town when Tyson closes. Do you feel like you're going to have to close down your business?
Usually, yes.
You think you might have to close?
Yeah. What I'm supposed to do? Who pay my bills? Who pay my rent?
This isn't political, it's human. A man looking at eviction because the system he believed in betrayed him. And the cruelest part? It didn't have to be this way. If Nebraska had welcomed workers instead of weaponizing immigration, if they'd invested in healthcare instead of culture wars, if they'd seen people, not props. But it's too late for Lexington. Now it's a case study for the rest of us.
So why is this happening? We asked that question to Tyson. They say that they are right-sizing.
So Trump supporters, if you're not worried now about the economy, now is the time to be worried. Nebraska, Tyson Foods. They're the largest meat producer in the country. They're closing their Nebraska beef processing plant because of Trump economics. Cattle costs have risen $2 billion because of Trump's tariffs, and it has resulted in a net loss of $425 million in 2025 to date for Tyson Foods. So they're closing their meat packing plant, and 3,200 employees in this small town with only 11,000 residents are losing their jobs. 3,200 employees, and I can guarantee a vast majority voted for this.
Nebraska isn't alone. From dairy farms in Wisconsin to factories in Ohio, MAGA's promise was always a mirage. Vote your hate and your wallet will follow. But the only thing following was debt, decay, and disillusionment. So if you're watching this in another red county feeling that same squeeze, ask yourself, who really benefits when you're broke, scared, and alone? And more importantly, who's still got your back? Drop a comment. Share this with someone who needs to see it. Because history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. Real quick, by becoming a channel member, you're not just supporting our work. You're helping us amplify voices, fight misinformation, and keep important conversations alive. Membership gives us the strength to keep producing content that matters. Join today and stand with us in shaping a better future.